Hey everyone, Michael here with another video. So we're going to pick up where we left off with the last one, and we're going to go ahead and place the implants and design the surgical guide here on coDiagnostiX for an implant overdenture. So the first thing we're going to do, we got everything aligned. If you haven't done that yet, go watch my previous video on how to do that. So we're going to come up here to number 5, and we're going to click on the implants. We're going to be placing these implants on here. So I'm going to go ahead, and we like to place Straumann at the school. And we like using these, if we go down a little bit more, it's the non-tapered. Pick whichever ones you'd like. These are just the ones that our faculty or our perio residents like to place. So 10 millimeter and 4.1 millimeter diameter. This is what we're just going to start with. So we can always go a little bit longer or a little bit wider, but this is just what we're going to start with for this case, kind of a happy medium. I'm going to click both of the canines just to kind of estimate in that area. I'm going to click OK. So you'll be able to see that it roughly places it in there. It places these kind of odd. This is a little bit of a fun case. So I'm going to go to this cross-sectional view really quick, and I'm always going to lock on to the implants so that it always is centered. So obviously we're not going to place it all the way down here. So we're going to come up here more to the crestal bone portion. And that looks pretty solid. We actually have a good amount of buccolingual bone. I might place it a little bit more towards the lingual, just for that restorative aspect. And same on this side. I'm going to place it more like this. So again with this, you left click to move it around like so, and then you can right click to change the angulation of it. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just take a look at where these are at axially, because I think these are too far posteriorly. Let's go to the axial view right here. I'm going to no longer lock it to the implant. So yeah, we are quite a ways back here. I'm going to move these anteriorly for both of these because this is that's way too far distal. Let's go right around here. And you can kind of see as you hover over it, it does kind of give that safety zone kind of around with it. Gives us a good idea of kind of where we're wanting to place these. Let's get them fairly close to each other. And perfect. So let's go back to this cross-sectional view now that we're in the correct spot. I knew there was something up because we had a little bit too much bone almost. So I'm going to bring these towards the lingual just slightly. Just so that we're from a restorative perspective, which you can see the yellow is kind of the path of insertion. For when we do restore it, it'll make our lives quite a bit easier. All right, so I like this from this perspective. Let's look at the tangential view, and what this will allow us to do is just kind of spin around the entire implant just to make sure there's no surprises. It's always important to be looking at these in 3 dimensions, especially because, I mean, we have a CBCT for it, so there's no reason not to. Okay, so that one looks solid to me. Let's just go through this one as well. I think this one is pretty solid. We could probably bring this a little bit more buccally as well. Yeah, okay, I like that. So now we want to make sure that these are both parallel. You can see they're actually fairly close to parallel, but it's always good just to double check. In a case where there is a pretty significant difference between the angulation of one to the other, you can also just see on here, restoring these, going to be pretty solid. Yeah, we have a good thickness of the denture as well, especially considering how thin this denture is overall. We might need to make a new denture for this patient. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and right-click on whichever of these implants I would like. I'm going to click on Make Parallel. So what you can do is you can select the master right here, or you can have mean direction. So mean direction is just going to average between the two of them and kind of give you 50-50 between them. Or align to master is really for if there's a more if you're really limited on your placement of one of them and you just kind of need the other one to the other one has more wiggle room, you can align to the master. For this case, it's really small, so I'm just going to click on mean direction. You barely even saw a difference with it. So I would just go through and check just one more time, make sure we're good on this. But this looks to be about as good as we're going to do for these. So I can't complain about this. So next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to add our fixation pins. So go up here again to implants, fixation pins, and we're going to use the Straumann ones as well. So we're going to do one that's distal to each of the 2 implants. So I'm just going to select those premolars, and then one centered kind of at the midline. Now, this is going to estimate kind of where it's at. And you can see sometimes oh, that's a good one. I've never seen it do it that odd before. So we're not going to be attaching these extraorally, so we're not going to be placing them in there. That is really funny. So let's go to the cross-sectional view, because this kind of gives us a good way to view it. I'm going to move these up. The other thing too that's really important is we need to make sure that these are actually accessible when we go in to actually place them on the surgical day. It can be a temptation, especially when this might be one of your first times doing this, is to have them placed more at like a 90-degree angle like this, because it looks more structurally sound, like it looks good, right? No. You have the lip and the cheek to worry about here, so you're going to want to come at a pretty decent angle with this, because it'll just make placing these significantly easier. You just want to make sure that these are into the bone and solid. And you can see the IA on this one. We are going to move this around a little bit, but we just want to make sure that we get it fairly close for this, which looks good. So we are a little too close. You can see the error on the left side. Our fixation pin is too close to this implant, which probably makes sense because we can only see it in one direction. Yeah, that is kind of just right there. All right, so I'm going to go to the axial view, actually, and that will allow me to, I'm going to unsnap this from the implants. And what this will do is I can actually go through and kind of move these around. So I'm going to move this over here to the center. I'm going to move this anteriorly as well, so it's just a little bit distal to that implant. And then same for this one as well. Now, I like that, but we need to make sure our angulation is correct. So I'm going to go to the 3D model right here, just so we can adjust it a little bit. Same thing, just make sure you have the correct one selected when you do this. So kind of come through here, bring this forward a little bit. Let's go on to the next one. On the patient's left. And you can give it a little bit of an anterior tilt to it as well. This will make it easier to place in the posterior portion. So I am going to give it a little bit like that, because that will make it a lot easier when you come to surgical day to go ahead and place it. So let's move over to this last one over here. And again, same thing, move this forward, and then I'm going to move or angle it forward, and then I'm going to move it back. So you can see all 3 of these are going to be really easy for us to place. Let's go back to this cross-sectional view just to make sure that everything is correct. So we're going to align this to the denture again, or to the fixation pen. This looks solid for the first one. This one might be a little bit deep. Okay, that looks solid for the second one. And then finally for the third one, might want to go a little bit deeper on this one. Okay, that looks good to me. So next up, we need to add the sleeves, which is going to be the 6th option right up here. So we always use the Straumann guided surgery sleeves, and the fixation pins are basic. They're pretty much the same for all of them. So we're going to click on this and just select the one for each one. So we're going to go guided surgery. There's really no options for the fixation pins. One thing is, like I've said before, we are going to have to raise these off of the little bit of the offset. So this offset right here for sleeve position H4 means there is a 4mm gap between the most coronal portion of the implant and the base of the sleeve right there. So that looks solid right there. We're basing this off of that purple outline, which might be a little bit hard to see on the video, but it is really easy to see on the software. We just want to make sure that's not going to be apical to that inferior border, which is the intaglio surface. And again, we use the T-sleeve SST and then the 5 diameter ones. Just make sure that it aligns with whatever implants you're going to be placing. And then finally for this one, we got this, and I believe we need this one as well. Yep. So let's go ahead and just select the T-sleeve for this one. So all of our sleeves are added, and you can see through here that you can see them all. So that's great. So Now at this point, this would be when, if you're working with some surgical faculty or surgical residents or surgical providers, go through and just make sure that they are on board with this design. But if you're the one placing it, great. We're going to move on to the next step, which is actually fabricating the surgical guide for this. So this is where it gets really tricky. I'd say for coDiagnostiX with edentulous cases, the two trickiest things are, one, going through all the really specific steps to be able to properly align this denture to begin with. It's not automated like DTX is, but as long as you follow that, you're fine. But then also creating the surgical guide is a little bit iffy, and you'll see here in a second. So we're going to go up here at the top, click on number 7, which is Add Surgical Guide, and we're going to use this off of the base model, which the base model in this case is just the scan of the denture. We're not going to be adding any bone support regions or cut profiles. So we're going to click Next right here. And we're going to first click on, this is the path of insertion, and we need to use the bottom side of the dual scan. If you do not click this, it will pretend that these are teeth up here, and it will create the wildest looking implant guide you've ever seen. So this part requires a lot of messing around with because, let me just show you. So if I come through here, because this is a dual side scan, it'll get confused with the teeth and kind of the flange of the denture. And if you don't set it correctly, you can see on here that you're going to have this artificial lip here on the buccal portion that is not present in the patient's mouth. And that just makes it really awkward when it's generating the surgical guide itself. So I always like to come here and set my path of insertion a little bit more towards the buccal. So I'm not coming straight down like I told you to do on the dentate cases. Coming a little bit more from the buccal. And the reason for that is it will allow this to not have as much of a ridge on the buccal portion. So let's just take a look at this. So you can see there is a little bit right there. You can see there's a little bit of a hole right here. That is from that denture because there was the show through, which is not as ideal. But let's go back, and I'm going to mess around with this a little bit, and I'll see you guys here in a second once I get settings that I like. All right, so this is what it looks like after I generated it. You can see there's a little bit of a hole here on the left side, but unfortunately there's nothing really I can do with it. So one of the things I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and draw the contact area right here. So this will allow you to kind of paint on here the extent of where you're going to want to include this. And this is going to be where it's resting on the intaglio surface of the denture. So I'm just going to go through here, kind of draw everywhere. If you ever want to delete anything, you can go ahead and hold down right click, and that will go through and erase for it. So I'm going to go through here and kind of draw around where I want the extent of this to be, just to make sure that it is stable and it's not rocking. So I'll see you here in a second. All right, so you can see through here I drew kind of where I would like the extent to be. You can use the bubble system if you would like, but I think the bubble system is stupid, so we're not using that. I am going to kind of increase the size of these portions right here. This is just to give it a little bit more support in the areas that have either the implant placement or for the fixation screws through, or fixation pins through here. So this looks good. I'm going to click on next right here. These settings are going to be dependent on your 3D printer that you have. This is what I use for our NextDent 5100 printer. Offset of 0.2 millimeters, wall thickness of 3 millimeters, and then always select use large connectors. So you might have to play with yours just a little bit in order to get the settings to be what you would like them to be. But once you get them, you know, you're good on them. So this is what it looks like. First off, we don't need to add an inspection window like we do on the dentate cases because, well, obviously this is not going to be sitting on any teeth. You can see the extent of kind of where it extends to on the intaglio surface of what the existing denture is. And it looks really funky. It always does. It's really interesting the way that it goes through and designs all of these. But it works. So this is also why it's important to choose large connectors, because if you don't, then these are going to be really small and really easy for them to break off, which is not going to be a fun day for you. And then let's go ahead and add a label to this as well. So we're going to go ahead and we need to add this. I like to add it just kind of in a spot that doesn't really have anything. You do patient name for this. I'm going to go ahead and just put my last name since that's the name we're using for this. Obviously, this is not my actual case, but we're going to just go Gimity. And then just kind of move this around to kind of a spot that you like. And you can use the mouse wheel to kind of scroll up and down to make it larger or smaller. We are going to engrave rotation markers and use the implant rotation for sleeves. This will just help the surgeons on the day of. We're going to hit the check button over here on the left side. You can see the engraving right there. That's really great for us just because we have a lot of these going, and so it's really easy to get them confused because, well, they all look unique, but they all look very similar at the same time as well. So once you hit next on there, this will visualize your actual guide. And so everything is done for this. So you can see through here, these are the rotation markers with the implant sleeves right there. And then the blue are going to be the fixation pin sleeves. And one of the things too that's cool is you can see how there is space for these fixation pins to go all the way down through that intaglio surface. So we're going to go ahead and click on apply, and we're going to be able to see this implant guide right here onto the bone. Everything looks great. So all we have to do now is right click on the surgical guide, and then we're going to be able to select export. You can export this to whatever 3D printer you use, and go ahead and print this with the sleeves inside of it as well. The process for that is, for coDiagnostiX at least, is you would 3D print your guide, you would cure it or wash it through all the cycles, make sure it's dry, and then before you cure it, you would place the sleeves inside of it and then cure it with the sleeves inside of it, and that'll just ensure that they're locked in, because this uses a pressure mounting system rather than DTX's resin bonded system that they use for it. So that does it for planning for an edentulous case. As you could probably see, this is not the greatest software in the used world to use for an edentulous case, in my opinion, but it is possible if you really would like to do it. We have gotten good results for it. It's just kind of cumbersome in my opinion, and the whole alignment of the denture within the mandible, just, it can be fun. It worked well for this one, but sometimes, yeah, it's just not a fun time. But that just about does it for this video. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and have a great rest of your day.